Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we're going to take an in-depth look at a max PvE build for Adam Warlock featuring a CTP. Because the last time you saw him, I had a much more average build, so I'm going to recap the build changes since then, including the 66,000 energy attack and the 103,000 HP, and then we're going to get into some World Boss Legend content, and I'm going to talk about sort of the pros and cons of building your Adam Warlock for PvE, because it's not all peachy. I think he's a very good hybrid character, and my Uru and Odin Blessing sort of indicates that, right? We've got the 4 magic to bump up his attack, but then I'm also starting to give him some HP, the heal Odin's Blessings, because I'm trying to jack up that HP. I want him to work. I want him to be the next Spider-Man, but I'm just not sure if that's maybe the best idea. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We got a rank 5 blast type enhancement. We've got no artifacts still. We've got the Power of Angry Hulk stage 11, almost stage 12, and we've got the Spider Sense waiting in the wings for PvP, and I'll sort of see if I can get away with maybe switching it to that one and still using him for PvE content. And then we have the big CTP of energy. That's the other major change, up from a crit damage, ignore dodge obelisk, which is sort of like a poor man's CTP of energy. The important thing with the CTP of energy is to roll the ignore dodge as high as possible. I would not settle for anything less than 35%. If it doesn't have at least 35%, I would keep re-rolling it. And then as far as the increased basic damage, the bottom line there, I wouldn't settle for anything less than a 180 proc. He's a very expensive character, so you want to make the most of that. And then the uniform is essentially the same as it was last time. We got movement speed, double attack, and then HP and dodge. And that's basically what these stats end up looking like. We don't need to cap the crit rate because of his buffs. I would like to cap the dodge for more defenses, but that's fine, and then the attack speed as well. So here we go. Let's see how he does. Up first is Knull, and we're on stage 34. And this is actually the highest stage that Adam Warlock can go to, although I think he can go higher, especially with just a CTP of energy. But yeah, this is the highest that he can go right now due to stage restrictions. But the funny thing about starting off with Knull first is that Knull and Adam Warlock actually have a lot in common. I'm going to let myself get stunned by the cage just to, you know, realign my proc here. But both Knull and Adam Warlock have infinity skills, like skills that last forever, and that makes them good and bad depending on the content. Now here we're just going to pop this, and we're going to lose our proc, that's fine, but we're going to dodge the cage, which is more important, because then I'm going to be able to go into 2-6-3. So sort of like Knull, you're able to ad-lib at different parts of your rotation just because you have an infinite skill that you can rely on to just rack up insane chain hits. You can see here that he can just quickly melt off a few bars basically whenever you want due to the fact that he has that. And you should get used to canceling the second skill into different skills with Adam Warlock, because that second skill just instantly gives you the debuff immunity, which is so important, and then also pops off that crazy heal. So here I'm actually not 100% sure what I want to do. We're just going to let him land and then go into my regular rotation. But here is where you're going to see Adam Warlock start to struggle a little bit because of the fact that, well, we miss our proc on the one hand, but because of the fact that Knull starts moving around. So just like Knull, I mean Knull, the playable character Knull, Adam Warlock struggles a little bit versus bosses that move, because his third skill that is infinite, that you want to proc on when you're using a regular obelisk or a CTP of energy or destruction, whatever, that one will struggle, or you'll sort of lose damage, you'll lose targeting when bosses move around. So here, oh, that was really nice actually. We didn't need that much firepower. Okay, I should have reassessed the situation. We didn't need to pop off all that just to get those last 2 bars off. But yeah, basically when the boss moves around, you will sort of lose some damage if you get interrupted or if he sort of moves out of the way. It's not as bad versus Knull because he actually helps you, he actually pushes you. And sometimes Ultron will push you and sometimes Mephisto will push you, but other times they won't. That's actually kind of annoying. So Adam Warlock doesn't have immunity, I believe, or I don't, if maybe if he has immunity, it ran out, and so I wasn't able to continue keeping all those buffs up because he debuffed me. We can hit him there. The 2 skill honestly does pretty decent damage, but yeah, against bosses that don't move around, Adam Warlock is going to excel because of the fact that once you get that that combo going, he does massive damage and pops off with a ton of ton of chain hit, right? But for bosses that move around a lot, you know, Proxima moves around a lot, Ebony moves around a lot, And also Ultron actually, sometimes it's really weird. Sometimes he doesn't move at all, it's great, and other times he moves around like crazy. Those bosses are definitely going to pose more of a problem for Adam Warlock, but this speed is nuts. Like, doing stage 34 this fast with just a CTP of energy is very impressive. And keep in mind, he's got a crazy high HP pool. He's got, you know, a revive. So he's got so many defensive layers. I can sit in here and stand, you know, withstand the damage that I'm taking from Knull. Very few characters can do that, right? He can do that because of the guard break immunity. We accidentally procced on 5 here, but that's no problem. We can just start 3, and it'll just carry over into the next proc. So here's going to proc, and he's going to push us through with the damage. So I actually really like Adam Warlock against Knull. I think it's like a perfect match because for essentially 50% of his HP, Knull doesn't move, which is exactly what Adam Warlock needs to just pop off that 4-5-3 combo. I've tried other combos, proccing on 5 and then proccing on 3 later on or whatever, and it just doesn't work with the CTP of energy. You have to cancel 5 immediately. You can't get stuck in the animation, and you have to go immediately into 3. So this is sort of like the best case scenario. Now let's see what happens against a boss like Ultron, who loves to move around and sort of just dash across the arena away from Adam Warlock's AoE. So we're here on stage 14 of Infinity Ultron, and this is also actually the highest stage that Adam Warlock can do, but it's really good for you to notice how bad the damage can be and how sort of, you know, run ending the RNG can get when Ultron decides to just move out of the way. If he does skills like this, if he does that sort of star-based pattern attack, it's perfect because you can just sit in your attacks and crush him with chain hit damage. However, when he decides to zip around the arena, as he did with the starting attack at the very beginning of the fight, he basically ruins your damage. So you go from like 2 to 3 bars of damage down to 0 when he decides to move around. Now there we weren't able to, he's gonna move as well. We weren't able to use 3, so I actually, see there, he teleported to the middle, and we lost all the damage. So you're basically at the mercy of RNG, which is not something you want to hear in a PvE fight, but that is sort of the issue with other bosses besides Knull. Like I said, Knull's first phase is just heaven for Adam Warlock because Knull doesn't move. But whenever you have a character that has to stand still, right? Adam Warlock has to stand still during his 3rd skill and sort of channel that skill and attack and attack and attack and attack ad nauseum. It's very easy to interrupt that from the boss's perspective by just moving out of the way. But look at this. If he doesn't move out of the way, 5 bars, 6 bars, 7 bars, you're basically at Mardi Gras because you're going to all the bars. You know what I'm saying? It's absolutely wild. And there's actually other pieces of Adam Warlock's kit that make him so good. You're gonna lose some procs for sure, but that's okay. You know, nailing every single proc versus Infinity Ultron is basically impossible because you're also trying to stop optimization. But look at this insane burst damage. It's so gorgeous. But you see it fell off there, right? My damage just sort of stopped. Why? Because he decided to move to the middle of the arena and he interrupted the chain hit that I was getting on the 3rd skill. There, again, my damage just stopped, right? It can be very frustrating at times because you're in the middle of your rotation and you're seeing the damage just run, and then suddenly, right? Suddenly the damage just stops, and you're like, what happened? Did I make a mistake? No. Ultron decided to move and to teleport back to the middle of the arena. But okay, let me highlight a few more things that make Adam Warlock just insanely good for Infinity Ultron. There's other things. His auto attack, for example, is so good, right? You know, like far away, long range auto attack, very, very quick as well. And we know that the speed of the auto attack is so important. Look at that. He just easily pushes Ultron out of optimization. But there's actually more to it. His 2nd skill is obviously very, very good for PvP. But having an iframe ignore 2nd skill that you can just tap whenever you want to heal and interrupt Ultron from going into optimization is super clutch. On top of that, his 4th skill. Oh, man. So he manifests these staffs, right? And the staffs will just sit in the air and get thrown at your enemy for the next like 10 seconds, which is perfect. It's a delayed skill. It's perfect for interrupting Ultron. I'll show you guys here in a second. Well, if I don't die here, I'll show you guys in a second here. We're going to cast the staff here, and then we're just going to run away. Look at this. It's going to hit him, and it's going to keep hitting him. Look at this. Bop. It just hit him once. It's still going. It's still going. Crazy, right? Actually crazy. So it usually pops off and does 2 for me. So I'm actually going to cancel. Okay, there you go. So see that? I'm running around and it's still hitting him. And it's that, look at that, and look at that, it ended the phase. It ended the optimization, right? Absolutely nutty. So here I'm actually just gonna let 3 run, and I'm just gonna proc on 3 again, and look at that. That residual chain hit is more than enough. So you do have to alter your playstyle a little bit, and you can get some really bad RNG runs, which basically will ruin your focus and your concentration, because you'll see the bar just suddenly stop because Ultron decided to take a vacation on the other end of the map. And that's sort of that's the downside. That's the con of playing a character like Adam Warlock. It's the same thing with characters like Cable and Knull. When they're doing that infinite skill to rack up all that chain hit, you have the opportunity, right? It's like the golden opportunity to just lay into your opponent, lay into the boss, if the boss decides to stand still. If the boss does not cooperate and they decide to take a vacation behind you or to the other end of the arena out of range of your skill, then it sucks. Cable's lucky, he has a long range on his skill and he can swivel. Knull has a very, very small AoE, so he suffers the most. Adam Warlock is kind of in between. It's not a beam skill, so he doesn't have to swivel and lose speed and attacks there. And he has a larger AoE than Knull does, but he still suffers from that same problem of being pushed away from the boss or just having the boss dip and dip with your damage. Last but not least, we're going to hell to fight Mephisto, and this is stage 45. And now I don't mean to flex here, but this is actually the highest stage, or the most reasonable stage that I could show you for Adam Warlock to fight Mephisto on, because he cannot do stages after 19 because of the restrictions. Those awful restrictions getting in the way of doing a proper, showcase for Adam versus the World Boss Legends. But one thing that I want to highlight that I made sure to mention in depth during the last run there against Ultron is the AoE of Adam Warlock's 3rd skill. It's super important because I thought he'd be bad against Mephisto because Mephisto likes to move around a lot, but actually it's not that big of a deal, mainly because the AoE is so large and Mephisto actually doesn't move that much that you actually can just stay still and he'll stay in the range. Like, he just sort of teleports a little bit away from you, but not that far. Like, he just sort of swivels, he does like these little semicircles, and this damage you pop off for like, I'm doing like 0.5 mil per tick on the 6, which is wild. Or I mean on the 3, sorry, which is wild. So see there, he teleported behind me. Boom, he teleported behind me, but he was still well within range of my 3rd skill. Now the thing you need to know specifically for Mephisto is you always have to do that 2nd skill. Like, you have to integrate the 2nd skill into literally every rotation because you need that heal. That heal's got to come every single rotation or you are toast. So you got to make it a balanced part of a nutritious Adam Warlock breakfast versus Mephisto. And then you also have to just accept the fact that Adam Warlock thrives on chain hit damage and lots of hits, which is sort of like the counter of Ultron. So you want to hit Ultron a lot, which is why Adam Warlock is good for it. You actually don't want to have lots of little hits versus Mephisto, because that charges up his rage meter faster. So unfortunately, you do see more rage timers and more of those rage cutscenes. And it's not cutscenes, but like you basically trigger the rage mode more often versus Mephisto as Adam Warlock than you do maybe as other characters. We got really lucky there. We didn't proc early. That was really, really good. But then we lost the damage to the cutscene. That's okay. The nice thing here is that he does this cutscene and he does this really annoying attack. Adam Warlock does not get guard broken out of this attack. We had to wait for 2, actually. I knew that the rage meter was what? Okay, a little bit of sabotage here on the dev's part. Oh, right, I'm immune to time. I'm immune to the time freeze. That's so funny. You guys watching saw me run around the time freeze thinking, like, what is Alex doing? Doesn't he remember that Adam Warlock is immune to the time freeze? I forgot. I do think he can do this, but yeah, you'll see that you do end up having a lot of the rage timers, which is kind of annoying. But there, on the flip side, you do not get guard broken by that. So I do think that the pros of Adam Warlock absolutely outweigh the cons. It's just something that you have to get used to. There, we missed our rotation. That's okay. I wanted to ride it out and see if we could push the, push the next phase, but we couldn't. I do think that this means we're going to run out of time. You basically need a perfect run. It's pretty unfortunate. You need like a perfect run with Adam. to get Mephisto down here. But 45, being able to come close on 45 is actually wild. There I missed my proc. So we're actually going to adjust by delaying the next proc, but I actually have to move. Yeah, these purple things make the first couple rotations kind of moot, which is kind of annoying. And Knull likes to do a couple of things in this phase that are quite annoying for Adam. He likes to iframe, which he's doing right now, and then he also likes to whatever, dude. Yeah, sure, whatever. And then he also likes to miss it again. Yeah, sometimes you just can't cancel out of 5 into 6. It's very, very annoying. But you can also then let the lingering damage on 6 help you chain hit into 3. But yeah, the end of this run has been a little bit worse than we would have wanted, but it's due to RNG and basically just factors that we cannot control. You know, the battery on your phone running out, that sort of thing. So I actually think maybe with a perfect run, maybe more Odin's Blessings, or maybe the introduction of a new support, there's another, yeah, see, the proc coming early is definitely a possibility. I've edited out the runs where that has happened because I want to show you guys what it looks like, but it definitely can ruin your runs versus basically any boss with a CTP of energy. So we're not going to be able to get this one down, but that's okay. I think he can do it with a perfect run, but there you go. That's more of like an average run where, you know, although he can make up for his own flaws by having large AoE on his third and constantly spamming the second skill into your rotation, you have the sort of unfortunate third phase mechanics that interrupt a lot of those combos that you're trying to do, right? Those purple lines that he does, and then the slamming that he does to like move away from you. And then on the flip side, you also have the fact that he hits so often with so many skills that he triggers the rage meter and sort of fills it up way more than some other characters, right? Like you can, with Shang-Chi, you can actually limit your rage meters to like 1 per fight because he has so few hits on his skills and they just hit so hard. But that sort of makes sense, right? If you expect a character to be really good against Ultron, where you need to hit him a lot, then the inverse will be true against a character like Mephisto that you don't want to hit a lot, a boss like that. So yeah, that is the overlook and the overview for Adam Warlock. I still think he's fantastic. Personally, I'm not 100% sold on a CTP of energy for him, just because I don't need him. Like, the restrictions are really bad for him in World Boss Legends, so I don't really need him to push. Right now, I need better mutants, and I need better, I'm not sure what else I need, but I definitely need better mutants at this point, and so I may just end up transferring over him to a full PvP build because he's so good at that, but I do think he is well worth a hybrid build if you're in need of both, right? If you're still pushing World Boss Legend, or if you're just starting in World Boss Legend and you want someone that's flexible for both game modes, he is basically in 2022 what Sentry was in 2020 with the CTP of Rage. So that is fantastic, and I cannot wait to see what he does with a flip side full PvP build, and I'll bring that content to you. So hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of that. And thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.